Oh, okay.
All right. Well, hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me in the AOPP series, Producing PEMF Professionals. This series is meant to focus on our current AOPP members and share their experience, their knowledge, and their wisdom with potential PEMF practitioners. We believe the more we share the positive results of all PEMF users, the faster we can popularize the modality and grow our industry. So I want to start by mentioning to our viewers that the AOPP remains committed to being an unbiased organization, that supports all safe and committed, educated use of PEMF. Any mention of specific brands or devices is not the expressed view of the AOPP or its board. So without further ado, let's get started. I want to welcome Lori Jo Thomas, owner of PEMF of Texas. Welcome, Lori Jo. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's good to have you. So, Lori Jo and I have talked just very briefly before this. We didn't want you guys to miss anything. So, we're going to jump right into the interview questions and have Lori Jo just share a little bit more about her experience. So, first things first, of course, when did you first learn about and experience PEMF for yourself?
Probably about 6 years ago, a man named Landy Kaysen, he had a store in Ballinger, Texas. It was called Kaysen Mercantile, and he had PEMF 8000 in the back of his shop. And he used to just grab people while they were shopping and say, "You look like your back hurts. Come on, try this." It was the craziest thing. It was a little old country store. And I had real back issues. And so I tried it. And within the first treatment, I should say session. Within the first session, I experienced some relief from my pain. And so it was a journey. It's been, at first I started going about 3 times a week because it was real bad. And then once a month. And now I use it every day. But it was pretty profound, the experience that I have. And now I just, I've started reading every white paper on PEMF because Landy was kind of like a witch doctor. He swore that PEMF would heal everything. And, yeah. Anyway, so I said, I've got to do some research. And at the time I was working with a couple RNs and they thought it was kind of sounded like voodoo. But the more research I did, the more white papers I read, it was just amazing. And so he eventually passed away, and his wife extended the offer to have me buy the machines. And that's how I got into this.
Wow, okay. What a unique story. So why did you decide to get into the PMF business as opposed to, just using it for yourself? What motivated
Yeah.
you to
Well,
turn
I
it
always
into
used to
business?
joke around with Landy and say, Landy, when are you going to let me buy these things so I can make a real business out of this? And because I've always kind of had a business mindset. But I was at the age where I was working in the healthcare field and I saw how things were shifting from Western medicine. And I said, this might be the time to do this. And then when Landy passed, and he was such a dear friend, and she offered me, it just seemed like the right time to take the leap and do it and make it a viable business.
Yeah, that's amazing. Sometimes stars just cross.
Yes.
So what kind of successes have you seen with PEMF, either personally? I know you were just talking about with your own pain and your own back issues, but also professionally with the clients that you serve.
Well, it's interesting. The more that I see clients, every story is different. Kidney stones, I had one, we live close here to a Air Force base, and one of the drill sergeants came in. He had kidney stones. He was in the ER the night before, and 2 sessions, I'm the difference was remarkable. I said, "Do you still have kidney stones?" And he said, "Yeah, I think they're still there." So, go figure.
Yeah.
Every person is different. Gallstones. Somebody had one session, the next day called me up and said, "You're never going to believe this." And I said, "Yep, I don't know what to tell you, but yep."
I believe
So
it. Yeah.
I would almost believe anything anymore from what I've seen, and then there might be some folks that just they don't really see much change in anything, and they're not real. So it might have something to do with receptivity, being able to just kind of embrace the energy and accept it. So people are so varied.
Yes, I
To your
think that
question.
One of
So,
the great things about PEMF is that it can and should be used for wellness, right? Just general overall wellness. But
yes.
people have to have something inflamed or wrong with them and have something fix it before they go, oh, I think maybe that did work after all. So I think that can be just some people their own experience with it too.
That's a really good point though that you make is that is something that I talk about a lot is just this is a wellness. What we're doing is we are activating the cells and they are being very, very well. They're doing their job well.
Right.
So it keeps us in the state of homeostasis. That's really what my whole marketing thing has been is this is a wellness. This is something to do maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, but to keep our bodies well. And we have had a real outbreak of flu here in San Angelo, Texas. I have not had it. It just kind of speaks volumes about the technology. So
Absolutely. And I think that I think hopefully maybe that the whole conversation is sort of shifting to not treating us ourselves or loved ones when something is wrong, but taking care of ourselves in a way that we can avoid, so
yes,
many things that make us so miserable or uncomfortable or, cause so many other problems. So
exactly.
um well, we'll try to stay on task here. Do you practice other therapies alongside PEMF? And if so, what else do you do and how do you think PEMF fits into that with your practice?
Okay. The other thing is reflexology. I
Okay.
have I'm going through certification right now. And why I thought that was a great fit is because PEMF obviously is pulsed energy. Reflexology is on the chi, the energy of the body. And while I have clients on the mat, it's just kind of 20 or 30 minutes of downtime. Why not be able to offer the reflexology? I'm just doing the face and ears. And I have two models that have volunteered and they think it's a remarkable, so I'm really excited about it. I'm really
Yeah.
excited
Can
about
you
being
tell
able
me just a little bit more about reflexology for maybe people that don't know, like myself?
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Reflexology basically it's an old practice. It's a hands-on. It's not massage, but it's basically working with the five zone for me for face. It's
Yeah.
working with the five zones of the face, and everything has a coordinating. Something might be gallbladder, one area. So when you're putting pressure on, just like pressure, it's almost like acupressure,
Hmm.
but it's very, very specific. So they call it reflexology because one area is going to affect another area of the body, especially along the ears. It's kind
Okay.
of sensitive to the, oh, well, that would have not been, I should have turned that off.
That's all right.
Okay,
You're okay.
editors can edit this out.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start with the reflexology again in case they want to. So the reflexology being the chi, the energy of the body, and because the face and the ears have so many acupressure points, we can basically trigger some pressure here, and it might affect like the gallbladder or the stomach, or all of the nerves are connected.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm on my second class now, so that's all you're going to get about
Yeah.
reflexology,
No,
but
that's
it
very
is
cool. I've
fascinating.
heard some things about that, but I did not know that that's what it was called. So I would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
definitely be interested in hearing. And it sounds like it would probably feels good, right? Just anyone sort of like
Oh, yeah. And
right.
that's something about the PMF when people are on the mat. It is such a relaxation time. I really wanted it to be that kind of an experience as opposed to like my experience with Landy. It was in the back of the store and people were shopping and people, hey, what are you doing? And you explain to them. So I wanted it to be a totally different experience. And being able to do the reflexology, I think it'll be more like a spa experience for them. I really do. And that's what I hope to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you have to get people in, I guess in the back of stores, or the back of vans, but eventually we can enjoy it, right?
Yes.
Well, let's see. Or I'm sorry, how does the PMF experience seem to differ amongst your clientele? We were kind of talking about this earlier, just that everyone
Right.
is kind of different. But do some see results in one session and others take more time? Do humans and animals have a different response system? What kind of demographic do you work with and what kind of responses do you see?
Okay. I think this was a really good question because one thing to point out is like the horses, they have a completely different experience than the people. And I don't know why. but you can literally hold the rings away from their body and they have such vacillation, such reaction.
Mhm.
I posted some stuff out on my Facebook page about that. People, you don't see that in them. You see a little bit going on, but I'm almost thinking that it's because horses, animals, they don't have a block. They're not blocking, they're just receiving the energy. People, we
Mhm.
get inside our head so much and we try to, control things a little more. I
Yeah.
don't know what the reason is, but I really noticed a profound difference between horses and people, the way that the body reacts. Dogs, they just come lay on the mat and they stay there forever. And the owner's like, come on, it's time to go. And, they want to just sit there forever.
Isn't
But
that funny how
it
it is
is,
so true? I always see pictures of the dogs. They're just like, oh, look, time to
this is
relax. Like
heaven.
they get it. Yeah, just heaven. Yeah, it's so funny. But
Yeah.
that's very interesting about the horses and humans, how it's
Yeah.
so
And
different.
I've noticed a little bit of a difference too. People who have neuropathy, um,
Hmm.
that they really cannot feel anything, down below the knee. They're not feeling the PEMF. And I have to encourage them that you may not be feeling it, but the pulse is going through there and it is helping those cells regenerate. But that's been the most problematic, I think, for me is the reaction from people who have severe chronic neuropathy. They're looking for a quick fix and it's just not going to come overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I understand, they are tired of the inflammation and the
Oh,
pain and we would all love that quick fix, but yeah, PMF is definitely for something like that. And it's hard, so hard when if they don't necessarily feel it right away and they don't see something happening, some people can get easily discouraged. So I think
yes.
that's a lot of practitioners struggle with with that. Um, well, where did you get your PMF research and how do you stay up to date for your clients? I know you mentioned white papers, but where do you go, for
Okay.
your kind of go-tos?
My go-to is this book here. I've got it earmarked.
Okay, I
Um,
see.
Great resource. Dr. Pollock. I'd read anything that he wrote on it. He seems to be a guru. And
Yeah.
then The Body Electric. This was one of the first books I read.
Okay.
Anyway, they're out
Yeah,
on
no, those are both
Amazon.
great.
Good books. So Dr. Pollock's website, again, anything. So that's really how I stay up to date. And then just researching when someone comes in with something odd that I haven't seen before, then I
Mhm.
get on the government website and I kind of check that out. But
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I'm um it is, the more you dig into PEMF, the headier it gets. And then you get
Mhm.
into metaphysics. And I mean, it's craziness. So I try to keep it simple. I try to
Yes.
really keep it simple. I want to have all that background. I want to have all that knowledge. But when I go grab a book and try to explain it to somebody, you can see their eyes glaze over. Just tell me that it's going to make me feel better. So I can do that. I can tell you, somebody will say, well, what is it good for? What does this do? What is it good for? Every single cell in your body,
Body, right,
every single cell in your
right.
body is going to be affected and helped by this.
Yeah,
So it's really not just one thing.
right. Which is also sometimes hard to explain. But no, both of those books are amazing. Dr. Pollock has done some, a lot of the legwork for a lot of us, right? I mean, his website
Yes.
just has a lot of great information, and those are some great resources, especially for people that are trying to dig in deep and want to understand more. But some of that research is it's so hard to get through if you're just not
Oh,
familiar,
yeah.
even if you are familiar with it, it's like, oh goodness, I can't read another one of these charts and the analysis. It's a
Yeah.
lot, it can be a lot. So
Yeah.
that's part of the reason we asked that question. Um, okay, so next up, have you used both high and low power analog and digital machines, different attachments? How so? What kinds of different things have you used? And what are your experiences with those?
Okay. I have two PEMF 8000 machines. They go from like 1 to 20,000. Then I have the MagnaWave Pro Soul, which it's a analog machine with a digital face,
Okay.
meaning it operates like digital, but it is still analog. Um, so those are my go-tos. The MagnaWave is maybe a little bit lower pulsing than the two PEMF 8000s.
Mhm.
So I use that on when patients or clients that are more sensitive, more sensitive.
Oh, that makes sense.
So then the horses I use the PEMF 8000.
Okay.
Um, as far as attachments, the loops, the rings, all of that. But basically everybody starts on the mat, just kind of as a general opening up the body, and just kind of settling down.
Yeah. I like,
Pause. Do you need to
yeah,
get your dog?
the dogs, I know. Hey, yes, hang
Oh,
on.
oh, okay, you're good. You're good.
No, no, no. Let me pause the video for the. Okay, great. So you've used kind of a combination then of different machines and
Yes.
attachments. So, but I like that everyone starts on the mat. Do you find that that's just a good way for everyone to like just kind of get a
Settle
feel
down.
for
It just gets everybody to settle down, it just gives
it?
us some, it's like adult quiet time, and then we can talk about what's really bothering them. So if it's a knee, a shoulder, then I get out the loops and we address that for a few minutes. And
Yeah,
then it feels like a complete session.
yeah,
Um, but you know, again, everybody is different. Somebody can put the ring on their shoulder and it's fine. Another one, it's way too much. For me, it feels great, but for some
yeah,
people, it's just too much. So you really have to be, I think the biggest thing is being really careful. I don't put a ring on a human and then power on. I always hold it in my hand first.
yes.
That's really important
I like
because
that.
then you can adjust the level before you even get it onto them. In my earlier days, I had a few, whoa, you
Yeah.
know, and I had to say, I'm sorry,
You
and
thought they were gonna go
gleam in
flying
my
out of the
eye.
chair. Yeah.
Like, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah,
But
whoops.
yeah. Anyways, so yeah,
That's a very good tip for beginners.
it
Keep
is. And
everything
have
off of your clients first, try it on yourself or and then approach them with it. That's a very
Yeah,
good.
I think they appreciate that. They feel safer. And I think one thing too about the digital, what's nice about it is for record keeping. On
Mhm.
the analogs,
Absolutely.
you've got to, most of them have a dial,
Right.
and it's hard to know next time they come in, what should that be? But on the MagnaWave, I love that because I can say this client was set, 10 minutes at level 7 and
Yeah.
what, so it made it a lot easier to
Yeah,
track.
just to keep track of your clients. So if you could share just one benefit about PMF to someone who is just getting started, what would you share and what do you view as PMF's main contribution to wellness? So that's kind of a bigger question, but more so directed towards people that are maybe just getting started. What's the number one benefit you would share?
Okay, I think using it on yourself daily, makes you a believer. And then as you become a believer, then you want to research it more. You want to learn more about the technology so you can speak more intelligently about it and so that you can get people to relax and not think it's just voodoo. I think that
Mhm.
is a huge value is using it on yourself. You can observe the changes in your own health and wellness, and you can speak to that. Um, it's not a get rich quick thing for sure.
Right.
I think that's one thing I would say. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes marketing. You've got to be really good at marketing. You got to position yourself. So I would just encourage people to really go into it if they do decide they want this as a business, to go into it with a mind for business, not just like, oh, this is really cool and I've got horses and I want to try this. Now, you certainly could do that, but that would be like a side business. It wouldn't be
Yes.
something that you're really going to draw. I mean, you just really got to work hard at it.
Yeah.
But I've, you know, AOPP, Association of PP. Okay,
You got
AOPP. I got it. AOPP
it.
does a great job though of keeping up to date on what's happening as far as like some of the rodeos and the shows of not allowing it, or what's happening.
Right.
I think that's just a lot of, if I could even say, they can edit this out if they don't like it, but I think it's a lot of pettiness going on.
Yeah.
Somebody has a machine, another person doesn't, so they think it's an advantage. But I think that's all going to settle down as the technology gets more and more accepted. And
Yeah.
I think it's obviously growing. So it's great to be in on the ground floor now.
Yeah.
But it's a huge market. It's a growing market.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot more manufacturing of
Mhm.
PEMF machines, a lot more people like combining it with barometric, chambers. Did
Yeah.
I say
I've seen
barometric? Is that right?
Yes, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And oxygen therapy and, kind of all these things combined. So it's exciting. It's an exciting field to be in.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I'm hopeful that, all of some of the pettiness or the infighting, and hopefully as it becomes more available and more people are able to try, different devices and find something that works for them or their horses and whatnot,
Mhm.
then it doesn't have to be, something that people continue to sort of to argue over. And then hopefully, and I think that we're just at the cusp of people really starting to understand what PEMF is. I think
Yeah,
that's
I
what
do too.
a lot of the regulations come from, it just kind of getting lumped in with shockwave or something else that it's just
Yeah.
not. So I think the more we can do things like this that just help explain what PEMF is and how it works, then I think a lot of those regulations will go away too. So well, let's see what's next. Do you have any contracts with specific companies or brands that help you grow your business? Any partnerships or official affiliation agreements? If so, how has that experience been for you?
Okay. Well, two things. One is with a local health food store. I partnered with them to do some clinics in their store, like in a little
Cool.
corner, just some chair PEMF, which was great for them because it had something more of interest in the store going on, and
Yeah.
it absolutely helped me gain new clients. People were interested in it, so I got to inform the public. That was just a really huge marketing thing for me. It was wonderful,
Yeah,
and
that's great. Did they approach you or did you approach them or how did that all come
I
about?
approached them. Um, yeah, I'm not
That's a
sure
great
how.
idea for lots of practitioners. I mean, in any
Yeah,
part of the country, like that's a
yeah,
great, just a great idea.
yeah, and it's they keep my brochures and my cards there, so people come up to the register and they say, "What about this?" And they'll do a little spiel because they've all been to had a session, and so they
Right.
understand it. So that's been really really helpful to me. The other thing is I did go and become an affiliate for a mat that is a low frequency, doesn't have to have the big box, it's just a low
Yeah.
frequency mat that has the far infrared and some other things in it. But that's for chronic, really chronic. Just I've sold two of them to people who really need to be on it every night. Um,
Yes.
just really, really in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Um, but I tell them, I'm straight up with them. I'm an affiliate. I make a commission off of this, but I'm not trying to, I'm just thinking this would be helpful to you. And then there's
Right.
a lot of other products that I do recommend that I'm not an affiliate with, but I say this might be helpful to you to have it, to wear it. Maybe a low frequency for a longer period of time might help with the chronic pain. So,
Yes, especially in between sessions. It's such a good idea to partner with someone or at least have some experience with something that is wearable or more low powered so that they, have some relief when they go home or, don't
right.
feel like they're kind of going backwards every the longer they wait in between sessions.
Exactly.
So that's
Exactly.
great. Only a couple more questions. So about us, why did you decide to join the AOPP?
Well, the main thing was I wanted to get information and training that wasn't tied to a product. That
Yeah.
to me was so important to see the objectivity that AOPP had, because I did a lot of reading about your organization. And then so I did all the MagnaWave training, and that was awesome. I got a lot of knowledge from that. They have great, great training. But I wanted something more that was independent. So being able to have on my wall, like the MagnaWave certification, and then all my AOPP, the large animal, small animal, and human.
Yeah.
I know it seems goofy. I mean, but I'm pretty proud of my little certifications, and there's validity there for people when they come in. They see that you are certified by an independent national organization. It kind of
Right.
puts them at ease, especially here in Texas, because you don't have to be licensed for a lot of things that are needing a license in other states.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it just helps put them at ease. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it
uh,
also just enhances, your commitment to being educated about what you're using, right? That you didn't just go out and, buy something that you saw one day on the
right.
internet and you're like, here, come try this. It's something that
I'll
shows.
hook you up.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Have you ever had any negative experiences while using PEMF, or negative experiences within the industry. So you kind of talked about, like, start approaching someone with, and maybe it's too strong and they've already had it on or something like that. So just in general, if PEMF, has, anyone sort of overdone it, or you've had someone with a bad reaction, or nothing
No,
that you've,
no,
yeah, knock on
I
wood, right?
really haven't. I think of one client that she it seemed to be a little much for her. She was very, very sensitive to like the world. Catch my drift?
I did. Very subtly, I did.
So sometimes people that are very sensitive to the world, this may not be, a
For them.
technology for them, but somebody that can embrace the energy, embrace the technology, do some reading, and let it work. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
That's great.
Oh,
And do you attribute, not having any negative reactions to the fact that you are educated and that, people are going to detox? It's important to have them drink
oh yeah.
water. It's important, all those things up front that you have to do to make sure people know what to expect.
Right. And I do give them a list of what to expect before the session, what after, and drinking the water. I have my water at the ready. I give them water right when they come in.
Yeah.
They can drink it during the session.
Mhm.
Um, they're like, well, it's electric. How can I be drinking? I'm like, no, that's not how it works, but you can.
Yeah.
But so I think that's probably the biggest thing I rag on is about the hydration, because I explain how their body is detoxing. They absolutely need the fluids to rinse all that out to get those cells to be able to detox the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So I have had, I guess this would go with the negative experiences, but that's on them. They didn't drink any water,
Yeah.
and they felt kind of like they had the flu the next day. Well, you didn't drink your water. So now they're true believers and they really do drink their water.
That's
But
super.
that's actually a positive thing,
Mhm.
because they understand that it really is detoxing, and oh,
Yes.
I better drink my water. You know,
Right. That, yeah, if you're not going to feel it in a good way, you're going to feel it in a negative way if you're not
right?
using it
Exactly.
appropriately. Yeah. Yeah. I
Exactly.
think 99% of any negative experience that I've heard of or had practitioners share has been either some level of sensitivity to the world or not enough water. So
No,
but it is always fascinating just to, to hear if anyone has anything else going on. And then last but not least, so we won't keep everyone too awful long, how do you foresee the PEMF industry growing over the next 10 to 20 years?
I see it just exploding. I really do, because we talked about that before. As the confidence in Western medicine declines, and it
Mhm.
is absolutely,
Yeah.
people are going to be looking for alternatives. So I can't see it going anywhere but expanding. And there is enough to go around. Absolutely. It's not like it's a closed field. And
Right.
I'm a believer that if you do your job really well, you'll never have competition. And if you do have competition, it's good competition.
Right.
So to not be afraid of investing in the equipment, not being afraid of dipping the toe in the water. One thing I would say on where it's going in the future, as far as I think the dogs and cats are underserved. I don't think that enough people really know about that.
Right.
The horse industry, it may be it's it's pretty saturated right now, I think, because it had an earlier adoption
Yeah.
than for humans,
Yes.
and it still does to this day because of
Yeah.
that organization that we have to put all the disclaimers for,
Mhm.
um, and say things like session, but
Right.
because of that, there's been some pushback on the human adoption of this technology, but people are going to demand it. People are going to demand it.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of chiropractic offices
Mhm.
adopting this, and maybe they're not willing to have it in their own office, but to get the referrals. Another interesting thing is from pain management, wound management,
Mhm. Yeah.
from physicians that have wounds that won't heal,
Yeah.
giving me a referral and saying, look, we've done everything we can. We can't get this wound to heal. And
Yeah.
so that was another thing I did early on was I went and met with wound care physicians and
Mhm.
showed them the white papers, and they were blown away because they had never been told about this technology. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Of course not, right? But that was
Kind
a
of like,
great idea too, to take those papers, directly to sort of the source that could help introduce this. And
yeah,
if they've tried everything they can, then the patient has nothing more to lose at this point to then let's try
exactly,
something, right? So
exactly.
that's amazing. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to grow exponentially. It already has in just the short time that I've been involved with PEMF. But it will just take, I think, the adoption of people believing in it, and all that takes is people
Mhm.
trying it. Because after people try it and they start using it on themselves or their animals, 9 out of 10 are lifetime believers.
Yeah,
So
it's undeniable. It truly
yeah,
is.
it's just a matter of time. So maybe I don't know if 10 or 20 years where we'll be, if we'll all have a PMF device in our house that we all use every day. That would be a dream. But eventually I think that's definitely where we're headed. So
Too.
good deal. Well, thank you, Lori Joe, so very much. I really appreciate you joining us today. Is there anything else you wanted to add or leave with us before we sign off?
Well, just keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you.
your I really appreciate your organization.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We cannot do it without practitioners like yourself. So we appreciate you. That being said, if there's any other practitioners that are interested in interviewing for this series, the Producing PMF Professionals, you can email me, Lauren at pmfprofessionals.com, and I'll be happy to get something scheduled. So thank you, Lori Joe. Thank you so much, everyone, for
You're
joining us.
welcome.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks.